All right, what's up, my brothers? So in this video, we're going to be talking in depth on dating professional women. I did a much longer cast a few weeks ago on my channel. I really wanted to distill down the main points. There's a lot of stuff sitting in men's blind spots when it comes to inviting professional women into their life. And when I say professional women, I'm talking C-suite type of professionals, meaning they're a CFO, COO, CEO. They might be the vice presidents of the sales division, for example, lawyer, doctor, accountant, a higher income earner. So they're definitely earning six figures plus, generally speaking. They've been through post-secondary education for a number of years, and they generally have a piece of paper or three framed in mahogany on the wall with little letters after their name. A lot of guys think that it could be quite delightful to date a professional woman or invite them into their life or to marry them. But there's certain things that they don't necessarily see from the get-go, which this video will help clarify for you. Before I get started into the stuff that's in most blind spots, I'll say this. Look, I've dated a lot of professional women. I was married to a lawyer, got divorced from a lawyer, obviously, at the end of the day. And there's some upsides to it. But again, there's a lot of stuff sitting in guys' blind spots. So let's start with the pluses first. One of the greatest benefits to dealing with professional women is there's practically zero public thottery. This is a thing that frustrates a lot of men today because they find a lot of women tend to be drunk on social media. The Facebooks, the Instagrams, the Snapchats, even the OnlyFans, it's highly, highly unlikely that you're going to find a junior lawyer that you're dating in a law firm that also runs an OnlyFans. Very unlikely. The upshot of the validation and the side hustle income, generally speaking, isn't worth the character assassination to selling pictures of their buttholes on the internet, for example. So you're not going to deal with a lot of thottery, a lot of promiscuous behavior on social media sites. They certainly wouldn't want to see maybe one of their shareholders or the partner of the law firm seeing repetitive provocative and sexy poses on Instagram. I'm sure there's probably exceptions to that, but for the most part, most guys are going to deal with very, very little thottery. And if that's something that bothers you, that might be one of the areas where you might want to consider dating a professional woman. The other thing too, before I move into the blind spot stuff, which is really important, so stick around for all of them, is these professional women tend to be fairly independent. They've got their money sorted out. They generally have their investments. They have a car, maybe more than one car, or a cottage, or a boat, an ATV. In some cases, they've got their investments outside of retirement savings going. They often own a house, or they're on their way to owning assets. Sometimes they own multiple assets. In some cases, I've seen where they've got rental properties. So generally speaking, they do tend to have their money sorted out more often than not. I've run into some scenarios and had some conversations with men where they find that there might be debt. But generally, it's student loan debt, which they should have a plan on paying off. So it's not like you're going to running into too many problems when it comes to financial availability and resources, financial management. There's going to be some rare exceptions where everything that is made is going to be spent on an entire wall in their closet with handbags and shoes of every brand and make, so they match all the outfits. But generally, you're not going to see that. It's not like the movie Legally Blonde, for example, where it's all fancy schmancy and, handbags and shoes and makeup and all that. Generally speaking, when you run into professional type of women, they seem to have their heads screwed on a little bit better than the average when it comes to money, independence, and sort of stuff like that. When it comes to independence, they can generally, you're not going to have things like, hey, I need you to lend me some money to pay my rent, or my car's broken, I need to fix it, can I have some money for that? You're probably not going to deal with that. So those are the main upsides to dating professional women, which I think most guys, for the most part, understand. But let's dive into the stuff that's, for the most part, in guys' blind spots that they don't understand. All right, so let's start with number one. The first thing is they are really, really busy. They are busy AF. They're always doing something, and oftentimes it can be things that they hate, really for clout or money. If I'm being honest, I've run into a lot of professional women that are in a career or in a line of work that they don't totally love because it's about keeping up with the Joneses, maybe with a sibling, neighbor across the street from the old neighborhood, but they have something to prove. And a lot of the times they're working in a space or an industry where there's a lot of, I mean, I can put it this way, there's a lot of negativity and complaining. They'll come home from a day of work, or you'll see them, you know, for a date, you know, when you've got yourself scheduled in, and you'll generally fall into some sort of schedule. Like you'll have certain days or nights of the week, you know, once you start to date them on a longer term basis based on what their workload looks like, or their work hobbies might look like tied into that. So you might run into areas where they can be a little bit disrespectful, you know, of your time, if I'm being honest. There was one time where I had a date scheduled. It was probably something like 8 o'clock, you know, for example. And she said she was out shopping with her girlfriend. And, you know, she goes, well, just meet me at my house at 8 o'clock. So 8 o'clock rolls around, nobody's home. 8:05, still nobody's home. You know, you're hitting the doorbell, there's no answer. You give her a call. Hey, what's going on? You know, you said meet me here at 8 o'clock. Oh, I lost track of time. I'm doing this, that, and the other thing, but I'm going to be there in like 35 minutes, so just wait for me. No, homie, don't play that game. I left, okay? You're going to find that there will be times where she's not going to respect and value your time. And it's a little bit of a shit test to see if you're going to put up with it. The best way to handle that, of course, is exactly what I did. Just leave. And she ended up coming over to my place later on, you know, apologizing for it, which is what she should have done, you know, realistic. I mean, what she should have done was shown up on time when we were scheduled, obviously, but you get the idea. You're going to find times where she's not going to particularly value your time and schedule and think that hers is more valuable than yours. So just be aware of that and make sure that you don't let yourself get stepped on for that. Another thing you got to understand with the busyness factor is they work crazy hours. When I was dating my ex-wife, I'd get calls very late at night, 11:30, 1 o'clock in the morning. Hey, still working on a project, just wanted to say hi. I'm having my dinner. I'd be like, you're having dinner at 1 o'clock in the morning working on a project that needs to close. And it's like, that's what they do. So some of these professional women work crazy hours. Like it would not be uncommon for some of them to work till 4 o'clock in the morning, take a train home, shower, sleep for an hour or two, and then go back and do it all over again several days in a row, back to back during the week. It can be pretty exhausting for them, and there's a toll to pay, which I'm going to explain a little bit more further on down this list. The other thing you'll notice with the busyness factor is they don't have any real hobbies aside from chasing clout, money, or their checklist. One of the things that these accomplished women will have, these professional women, is a checklist of things that they have to do. Got to get this car, got to buy this house. The house has to have 10-foot ceilings. Got to have this $15,000 crystal chandelier. And there's a very specific list of many things that need to be ticked off. And at some point, usually on that list, there's, you know, having a family and children. So because they don't have anything going on aside from that main checklist, which aligns with their career and their job and all the clout that comes with that, they're not that interesting, you know, in their own personal lives. Like when I talk to people, I can talk to them about many different topics and many hobbies that I have. But I found when I'm dealing with professional women, it's really just work drama, a little bit more work, some work retreat, and then some more work drama, and maybe the odd, you know, getting together with her girlfriends, you know, smashing back wine or going dancing and partying from time to time. So you got to be aware of that. Let's move on to the dating experience, what most guys notice that they'll come across. One of the things that's extremely frustrating for men, and anybody that's dated a professional woman will know this, and, you know, comment below. That's, you know, guys, the comments are open for you all the time to strike up that conversation, but their hyper competitiveness in real life, they have a real hard time turning that off outside of work. So what that means is, well, one of the red flags that I mentioned actually in my book here, The Unplugged Alpha, and if you haven't got it, it's on Amazon under print, Kindle, and Audible. It's a great read. But in the red flag chapter, I talk about women competing with you and why that's a red flag. And basically, to distill that little bit down is a woman's got to look up to a guy. She's got to see him as a giant, for example. And if she starts to compete with you, then that means that she doesn't respect you. It's a little bit of a shit test. She wants to see if you're a competent man, right? So the hyper competitiveness that she's dealing with in the office, it can come in the form of trying to compete with you personally, like, oh, my house is better than yours, or I have a higher paying job than you, so I'm more special or I'm more important. That can be one way that it might materialize, but it just could be she comes home and it's like, it's still go, 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 right? You may not do something right. You might get a lecture about it because it's not up to standard or par that she's looking for, or by the certain timeline or date, for example. It can get exhausting. Comment below. I'll skip that one for the time being. You're going to get a lot of competency tests relentlessly. And if you're not familiar with what a shit test is, it's basically a woman testing your competency. Are you able to do things? Like, is this the best guy that I can get? That's what a woman's hypergamous hindbrain wants to figure out with you is this guy the best that I can do? So she's going to shit test you relentlessly, or more often than a non-professional woman, in fact. It's going to come up. So you have to know how to deal with those. I cover a lot of that in my book as well, so I'm not going to spend a ton of time on it. You're going to find that they can be quite disagreeable and unpleasant. They've got a way about doing things. I didn't get to where I got to, Rich, if I wasn't going to, put my foot down, set firm boundaries, and, to distill what you've just heard there, basically be somewhat disagreeable and unpleasant. Most men today, most top shelf men anyway, that have put a dent in the universe are making serious bank. They live in healthy, strong bodies. For me anyway, I want a woman that's going to make my life easy and my Johnson hard. I don't want a woman that's going to make my life hard and my Johnson soft. Okay. So it boils down to being around more pleasant women for me. And more often than not, you're going to find that you're going to have a difficult time with these professional women because they can be quite tough to deal with on a personal level. And you're going to hear stuff like, well, you're not man enough for me, or, you just can't handle me, and all that sort of stuff. And it's like, the whole you just can't handle me lyric, that's what disagreeable, bossy, hashtag boss girl or hashtag bitch girl sort of thing used today. And while they might think that's cute and sexy because they read a book at one point 20 years ago called, Why Men Love Bitches, we truthfully don't. We want pleasant women. We want nice, agreeable women that are pleasant and in our frame and are a compliment to our lives. That's what top shelf men want anyway. So a lot of the times guys will end up going through this betatization process, with the dating experience with them. And again, I cover that again in more depth in my book. Get this. It's linked. It's pinned in the top comment. They also have some of the longest checklists of what a man must be so that she will give him her exclusive attention, which again, this won't be shocking to too many guys because, women already have this long list of things like the 6 sixes. Got to be 6 foot tall, got to make 6-figure income, got to have 6 inches in the pants, 600 horsepower car, 6 months out of a relationship, 6-pack abs, in some cases, the list will be like 237 points of all the things a dude must have because she's a professional woman. She's chased excellence. She's got the degree. She's got the good job, blah, 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 blah. But the thing is that men don't really want those things. That's a lie that the toxic feminist narrative has told women to behave more like men. And doesn't work out for them in the long run, which we're going to cover in a few other points. But that checklist is something that you got to understand. They're going to have much greater expectations of you than a non-professional woman. A $40,000 a year hairdresser has a shorter checklist than a $400,000, 40-year-old woman, $400,000 a year 40-year-old woman that is a partner at a law firm. They've got just much greater expectations. And there's some pros and cons, of course, that come with that, but we'll keep moving on here. She's going to be, now, if she's attractive, so as the dating experience goes, if she's an attractive woman, she's definitely going to be spinning plates. And all that means is she's going to be seeing multiple men simultaneously while she's dating you. She's going to be weighing out her options. It's not uncommon for her to have nicknames for them programmed into her phone, like Rich Entrepreneur, Dave Accountant, Zev Lawyer, Bill Surgeon, for example. And they kind of weigh out their options while dating all these guys simultaneously. So just understand from the early stages, you're definitely not going to be the only one, especially if she's attractive. She's definitely considering many options at the same time. Her career will take precedence over you chasing excellence. Hate to say it, guys, but if there's a concession that she needs to make, especially early on dating, say within the first 6 months or so, she's going to choose her work. She's going to choose her career, her job, everything. Even a lot of guys have found long into the dating relationship. I had a consult once with this guy who was married for several years, and his wife was working at a large international company and they were trying to do things within a department she was working in to basically screw over his business. Dude was an entrepreneur, and she never spoke up, never shone a light on anything that was controversial outside of what that department was doing, because she didn't want to lose her job, which ended at the end of the day costing him and his business over the long term. So even in a marriage, you know, in sickness and health, and richer and poorer, and till death do us part, blah, 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 she still chose her career over what was better for the family, or even for him himself. So just understand that career will often take precedence over your needs. And, you know, if you're chasing excellence, of course. We talked about the competitiveness. Let's talk about family, which is the next point that I want to hit on. So this is the third one. The biggest mistake that these career/professional women is that they leave having a family as way too late in their life. They really struggle to understand how difficult it is to chase excellence and family together. And if they are able to facilitate a family narrative, they let childcare do much of the child raising years, in fact. It's not that uncommon with professional women. They might own a business. They might be one of the top ranking officials in a business to give birth, and they're back to work within 14 days, maybe 28 days tops. It's not that uncommon. I've seen it several times, in fact. And I don't think it's good for the mom. I don't think it's good for the family. Certainly not good for the father, not good for the child. You know, outsourcing parenting to daycare centers, to like, I've seen daycare centers take children as young as 6 months old. And I mean, here in Canada anyway, you've got 12 months of mat leave, which you should use to, you know, form a bond with your kid and make sure that they're getting all the nutrients and everything they need in a household. But there's a lot of mistakes that I see with professional women. They think they can chase a career and being a mother at the same time. And whenever they do those things at the same time, I don't see it coming off very well. I don't see them producing great members of society. I see them struggling with it. It's very exhausting, and it's tough. But the other thing too is they tend to leave it way too late. In some cases, I mean, it wasn't that uncommon when I got divorced at, like, I think I was 38 or 39 at the time, probably around 39. You know, you'd get on the dating apps and you'd match up with an attractive professional so-and-so. And within the first, moments of conversation, it's like, hey, I'm looking for family. Do you want to have a family? Because if you don't have a family, we'd be wasting our time. It's like, whoa, 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 whoa. Turn off the afterburners and cool your jets, lady. I hardly know you. And all you're about is, do you have, good DNA and the ability to pay for the lifestyle that I want right now? So be super careful with women that have, it's what I would essentially coin as baby rabies, where they're way too enthusiastic about having children right now, super fast, because they left it because they're 38, 39, 40. In some cases, I even saw women in their 40s, 43, 44, thinking that they were going to pull off having kids. And you're in a position at that age where you're high-risk pregnancy. In fact, anything after 30, 35, you're running into high-risk pregnancies. Higher probabilities of miscarriage, higher probabilities of developmental disorders. There's a reason why most kids in the school system today, especially in Toronto, born to professionals, men and women, professional men and women that have been climbing the corporate ladder, have learning disabilities, or they're on the spectrum, or there's just something wrong with them, and the school system struggles to deal with it. So you got to be aware of that. Guys, you want to have kids, choose a younger, more fertile, healthier woman than a 40-year-old boss girl that's been chasing a corporate career that has baby rabies, that wants to lock you down right now. Be careful with that. Let's move on to self-care. Self-care can be lacking. So professional women tend to hit the wall way sooner than non-professional women. I dated this lawyer once who was she ran, what do you call them? They're basically, the ambulance chaser law firms, where personal injury, slip and fall, accidents, stuff like that. And she was so stressed from her job, her hair, like she was losing her hair. It was thinning in an obvious way. And you might, Rich, you're bald. Okay, fine. Bald men can be very sexy, i.e. The Rock, Vin Diesel, Bruce Willis. Hello. You can pull it off if you got it together, but it's not a hot look on women. There's not a lot of dudes that think that women like Sinead O'Connor were smoking hot. She had a pretty face, but looks way better, obviously, with long hair. So you're going to find that these professional women, because of stress, because of higher levels of cortisol, because of lack of sleep, because they're always working, because of strict deadlines and all that sort of stuff, they tend to age faster than a conventional woman the same age that hasn't put herself through that much stress. Okay, so just understand that there's lots of delivered, food that's pre-processed. I mean, like I said, when I was dating my fiance Laura, she'd have meals delivered at midnight, in some cases, and they're not always going to be the healthiest meals. They don't have time to have great workout routines. A lot of them don't have culinary skills whatsoever. And that's one of the biggest selling points to most professional men, is having a woman that is pleasant and knows how to cook. They spend a lot of time guzzling wine and partying when they're not at work, when they're hanging out with their girlfriends. So self-care can be, a little bit of a detriment, or lacking, for the most part. Let's keep going on. Let's talk about money, because I talked about them being on top of their money at the opening sort of credits, tipping my hat to what is a benefit with dealing with professional women. But what you'll find is, what's hers is hers, and what's yours is also hers, is the way the narrative is going to start to move on a balance of probability. So I can sum it up with this soundbite. Was dating this girl once, and we'd been together for several months, and she said something along the lines of me, and she was earning about the same amount as what I was at the time. I was in my early 30s, I think, or late 20s at the time. And she said something along the lines of, "Oh, so and so is married, and he bought his wife this SUV. So I'd be expecting you essentially to buy me an SUV as well, when we get married." And I was like, "Excuse me, you're making as much money as I am. Why would I be buying you a vehicle? I like cars. I'm going to buy my own shit. You can take care of your own stuff," sort of thing. And that popped up more than once with her and other women that I dated that were professional as well. You're going to come across that. So just understand that your money management and your finances, you're going to have to set some boundaries around that, because women want to be with a top shelf guy. Their hypergamous hindbrain is asking them, is this guy the best that I can do? Which generally means that they date across and up on the socioeconomic scale. They don't date across and down. So they're looking for a guy that's better off than them, which is hard for them to find. That's one of the other things too, is, they're looking for guys that have their money sorted. And what's interesting is, you can have a highly successful trades plumber, electrician, guy that owns a roofing company that could be making $150,000, $200,000 a year. She'll look the other way. He'll be invisible to a $100,000 a year professional or junior professional, and she'll pick a $60,000 a year critical illness injury lawyer, because he's got lawyer in his title, and he makes a lot money than the guy making close to $200,000 a year as a trades guy in a specific field. So I found that very interesting too, because it's not just the income part. It's also, does this guy, send the right signal to my social circle? So when I bring him to the Christmas party, I can say, hey, this is Rich the lawyer, not Rich the plumber, sort of thing. So just be aware of that. And let's wrap up on this last note here of mental health. You will find that professional women do have higher levels of narcissism, usage of prescription medication for depression and sleep. They won't let anything get in the way of their career, including you, or any kind of disorder. So they will try to deal with them. I've seen them using illegal drugs, i.e. cocaine. I've seen them on prescription meds for like SSRIs and antidepressants. I've seen them taking things like sleeping pills, for example. Non-professional women generally don't touch that stuff, but you're going to find higher instances or higher orders of that. And if you're looking for wife stock because you want to have a family sort of thing, you got to think twice. I mean, do you want to deal with a narcissistic personality disorder on prescription meds to mother children with? Because I can tell you this, there's lots of guys that I've talked to that have been ground through the divorce machine, and the ones that get hit the hardest are the ones going through the divorce process with professional women that might have a personality disorder, i.e. narcissism, i.e. borderline personality disorder. Be very, very careful. So date slow. Like I said in my book over here in one of the chapters, is hire slow, fire fast. And, date a professional woman slowly, see what she's about. If it is, something that you think that might be right for you. And if you find there's things that pop out of your experience, move on quickly, brother. Don't invite her into your personal life. Don't wife up. Don't put a baby in somebody that's going to be problematic for you. because it's very, very hard to deal with the divorce process and the divorce machine. So be super careful. We'll wrap it up on that note. Video went in a little bit longer than I want. So comment section below, what's your experience? Smash the like button. And I'm sure there's somebody out there that needs to see this video. There's a wealth of information in it. So go share it with somebody and let somebody that that might be dealing with something that we've mentioned here. Here's some cold hard truth bombs. See you guys in the next video. Check out the pinned comments below if you want to get into coaching, grab a copy of my book, my men's community, all that good stuff's there. Have an amazing day. Peace out.